Communication. It's a two-way street in your legal case, specifically your auto accident case. We're going to talk about how and why it should work on this week's Monday Morning Lawyer. Good morning, everybody. It's Elkton's accident and injury attorney, Jobeth Bowers here. I want to talk to you specifically about communication today. Staying in touch with your attorney, what information you should be providing to them, when and why, and what info they should be providing to you, when and why. Now, when it comes to these accident cases, no two are the same. Some of them take a handful of months to resolve. Some of them take years, and really everywhere in between. In previous episodes, we've talked about one of the big factors to the length of time that these cases takes is medical treatment. Also, whether or not we have to file a lawsuit. So we're going to talk about now communication across the course of that representation. One of the things you're going to notice when you contact our office is a whole lot of interaction in the early days and the early weeks. We're getting a lot of preliminary information from you. You're getting a lot of guidance from us. We're contacting insurance companies, medical providers, other insurance companies for your health insurance and otherwise, and putting all of the things in place, setting the table for what's going to happen at the very, very end of this thing and resolving the case for you. So tons and tons and tons of pretty intense communication the first couple of days. One of the great benefits when you work with us is that you're talking to us and we're talking to a whole bunch of other people on your behalf. You're not juggling all of those calls. You're not talking to multiple insurance companies. You're not, you're going to medical appointments, but you're not talking about the billing or any of that kind of stuff. The attorney, our office, handling all of that for you. But there then becomes a point in time in the case, many times, in which there's a lot less communication. Certainly not on a daily, oftentimes not even on a weekly basis, because we get over that initial hurdle of all of the big stuff that we need to do, set up, and get in place. And your status is that you're getting medical care. It may be physical therapy, it may be orthopedic visits, some combo of the two, maybe some mental health stuff. Everybody's situation, like I said before, no two of these claims are the same. Even two people in the exact same accident are going to have a different experience as far as injuries, medical care, and otherwise. That being said, you're probably not going to talk to us a whole lot when you're in that middle period, in that little gap that is largely just you getting medical care. However, there are important times in which you need to reach out to us in that phase. Let's say you're getting medical care and you get referred out for an MRI or for a CT scan or to a specialist. Our office needs to know about that. Unfortunately, as of June 30th, right now, this moment, there is not some universal portal that we could log into and say, hey, this is our client. Let's see any medical care that he or she or otherwise has obtained in the past since, the time that we started representing them. And then it all pops up and we pick and choose what looks accident related. No, it doesn't work that way. And it seems a little bit of a kind of privacy risk to even contemplate setting something like that up, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's here in the next 5 to 10 years. So there's really no way directly for us to know that you have been referred to that specialist for that radiology or otherwise, unless you tell us. We'll find out eventually, but a lot of times these doctors send us their bills and records at the very end. And if we find out at the end when we're reviewing those bills and records, oh, Johnny got an MRI. Okay, now I got to stop in my tracks. I got to request the bill and record from that MRI and wait, sometimes as much as a month for it to show up. However, if we go back and you told me when it happened, you told my office when it happened, we can be on top of requesting those. That way, everything is there at the end. So that is a key and important communication element that makes things run smoothly with our office. Now, in that scenario that we found out at the last minute, are we going to take care of you? Are we going to do fine by you? Yes, it's just going to take longer. So if we know ahead of time, we can have everything, or at least make an effort on our end to have everything ready when you're finished treating and when all of the records and bills show up largely together. So that's key. That's more for you, also helpful for us because, again, we can track that stuff much better if we're knowing live. Another important one that sometimes our clients miss, and we're just not on the list. You've got that something changes in your life and there's a priority list of who you need to inform. Well, we need to be on that list if your phone number changes, if your address changes, if less important but nice to know, if you get married and your name changes, or if for whatever reason you change your name, us knowing, super important. There may be times in that what feels like a gap that we need to reach out to you, or there may be a time. One of the things that we do in our office is when we believe that you've finished treating, and I say believe because I'm kind of introducing a scenario where our client didn't tell us. The medical doctor said, hey, they're done. Here's all the stuff. We're going to put that together and send out a list of send out all the medical bills and records to the insurance company to start negotiating a settlement on your behalf. But we also send that list to you to double check and make sure that it's thorough, accurate, and complete. We want to make sure, because we're doing you a disservice if we're missing a bill, a record, some treatment with some doctor. If we don't have it all, you're not getting what you deserve in the case. So if we're sending that to the wrong place, say your email changed, your address changed, we can't get in touch with you by phone, we're kind of halted. And again, it's another one of those things that it's about time and how quickly we can move your case forward. Also, if that phone number changes between when we sent out the demand and when we get a settlement offer, how are we talking to you about it? And I know it's a little thing. We are by far not the most important person, at least not the most prioritized person to inform of these changes, but it helps us help you if we know those things throughout the process. When should you be contacting us? Obviously, with any of those things. If anything weird happens, if bills come to your house that you're not expecting that are related to the accident, let us know. One of the things that we work very, very, very tirelessly on is that order of operations when it comes to billing. Who's paying for what? Most situations, we want your health insurance to pay first. So if you're getting bills that are the full amount of the bill, that tells us maybe that they're not billing the health insurance. So us knowing that allows us to stay on top of that. Also, most of these medical providers know us and understand that by us being involved, that it's part of a legal claim and they're going to get paid that balance at the end. Let's say there's a copay, co-insurance, part of a deductible, whatever it might be, money might need to come out of the settlement at the end, and it's coming from your settlement through our office. In those situations, most of the local medical providers know when we're involved and will not send anything to collections. However, nobody's perfect. So if something there slips through the cracks and you get a collection notice, super important to let our office know. We can fix that. We can make sure that you don't get your credit dinged if it's a scenario in which it could, although there are very few of those these days. That's positive, at least for now. But we can handle that. But we can only handle it if we know it. If you're still actively treating and you just want to know what's going on with your case, the answer to that question is going to be that you're getting medical care. Unless there's something new that you haven't told us about, that's something we need to know. But there's not going to be news. We won't generally get a settlement offer, at least not one that's worth or that you should be considering, somewhere in the middle of these cases. Most insurance companies, and some of them have tried some tricky stuff in the past, but for the most part, insurance companies, when an attorney is involved, is going to know that attorney is going to tell me when the client's ready to resolve the case. Doing so any earlier than the end of your medical care is likely going to result in you getting less money than you deserve. There are scenarios in which resolving these cases earlier makes sense for the client. Those are a very case-by-case basis and certainly not generalized enough to go deep into it on this podcast. So, short one for you today. That's kind of the rundown. Let us know, super important, about changes in your phone number, your address, your name, things like that. Also important to know if you get additional medical care that we don't already know about, because we don't get an automatic update, not necessarily live, that, hey, Sue got referred for an MRI, or we needed to send her to an orthopedic doctor because, the pain in her back is just not getting better. Whatever the reason might be that you have medical care that we're not yet aware of, let us know. That way we can be on top of getting those bills and records. And that way, at the end of the case, everything's ready to go. Well, at the end of your medical treatment. And then we move toward resolving that case for you. A lot of times in that end game, so to speak, once we have sent out your medical bills and records, once we've sent them to the insurance company, usually it takes 4 to 6 weeks, but it varies based on insurance company. There was one major insurance company here in Maryland, relatively major insurance company here in Maryland, that had a cyber attack a couple of weeks ago. So they were totally out of commission for a couple of weeks. So obviously there are exceptions that exist to the timeframes and different things that are happening that will impact that. There is no hard and fast rule that says we're going to get an offer in 4 to 6 weeks, but generally that's about the time frame. That next call you're going to get from our office is probably to talk about money. So make sure you're also answering the phone when we call, assuming that, of course, it's safe to do so, because it's usually good news, or it's at least the answer to that question of what's going on with my case. That's all the time I have for you, everybody, right now. This is your accident and injury guy here at my Elkton office. If you have questions that you want to see asked and discussed on this podcast, generalized, we're not going to name drop or blow up anybody's spot. info@powerslawmd.com. Make sure that you mention that you want it discussed on the podcast. Otherwise, I'm just going to give you legal advice and guide you in your situation. If it's something that is not auto accident or injury related, as always, I say this pretty much every week, at least every week that I remember to, I'm going to get somebody on here. We're going to interview them. Laurie, good morning. Hello. Nice to see you on this wonderful last day of June. We're gonna get somebody on the show, though. We're gonna have that side by side. You've seen it before. If you haven't, watch some of the past episodes. There may be some great info in there for you. Tons and tons of topics that I think I've been doing this for almost 2 years now. So tons of great information out there. We're here for you. Ask questions, because I may run out of topics to discuss soon. So till next week, be safe out there. Be well. We'll see you soon.